Good morning, sir. Myself, Amita K, register number 22412FST002. My assignment topic is clinical testing of nutraceutical and health food. So, as an introduction, food and nutraceutical are an evolving market, and companies have the primary challenge of generating relevant scientific evidence to prove the safety and efficacy of different natural products that have potential health benefit for disease treatment and disease prevention. So, next we're going into it. So, first of all, what is this clinical trial? So it is usually a medical or clinical study in which human volunteers participate in carefully conducted investigation according to a predetermined research protocol. So it is that. As per the National Institute of Health, clinical trials are research studies that explore whether a medical strategy, treatment, or device is safe and effective for humans. These studies also may show which mixes the common challenges in nutraceutical clinical trials. So the trial usually require large number of sample size to account. That means for a particular study, if you are only considering a small portion of sample, it won't create an accurate result. If you're going for an accurate result, you need a large sample so that we can take its average and thereby we can accumulate a approximate appropriate result. So it is very difficult to pick an endpoint as it means that a single parasitical component have a multiple function. So for this reason, we face the challenge to pick an endpoint and or a biomarker to study. Having a reliable biomarker or biological endpoint of interest is essential to a successful critical clinical trial. So we need a pilot study. So these pilot studies are small scale preliminary study conducted to evaluate uh, evaluate the feasibility, duration, cost, such things, so that we can eventually identify what are the requirements for these. So and through pilot study we are able to insight into the desired end result. And the next the challenges are harder to recruit for and have higher dropout rate than pharmaceutical drug. That means as this nutraceutical is a new invention or intervention, some people may face it as a much risk, so they drop out from this. So these are the some challenges in nutraceutical clinical trial. And next is a characterization of clinical trial. What are the characters of clinical trial? So obviously we already said that clinical trials is something which is related to human subject because we are we are checking the efficiency of a particular drug in a human. And the next thing is it lasts for 5 to 7 years. Yes, obviously we are conducting a project over or a research over a particular thing, so it will take much time, and it is according to the thing you are selected. And the approval of relevant growing and ethical committees essential. That is, you are doing this for a particular reason, and it should be ethical one. So for that, for doing this or for starting a clinical trial, we should get the approval of certain ethical committee. And usually these clinical trials are used for medical studies, and it is also done with or it is done with following a particular or predetermined research protocol. So these are the clinical development of dietary supplements and pharmaceutical product. So we know that nutraceutical constitute of nutraceutical a nutrient part and a pharmaceutical part. So for this we need to check the nutrient and the pharmaceutical effect of a particular thing. So first of all, to identify it together as a nutraceutical, we should separately identify the nutrient part and the pharmaceutical part, and then we just want to combine intake is explored in subsequent trial in the pre and post marketing phases. So it is like in the pre-clinical and clinical trials, we are identifying or we are just finding the result for the mechanism, efficiency, and safety. And talking about what is this preclinical trials is, these preclinical trials are done uh, so that the clinical trials become more efficient. In preclinical trials, we use cell system or animal model prior to clinical trials so that it gives something about the safety thing. So if you are using a cell system, it is more easy and it just more easy and fast. It shows the or it monitor the detailed mechanism. And if you're using the animal models in preclinical trial, it show the practical. It is very practical. See the real response in animal models. So in the preclinical trial, we are obtaining results such as molecular structure, what is the best combination, screening design, cluster analysis, reproductive toxicity, carcinogenic toxicity, pharmacological activity, dose-related response, discriminant analysis, factor analysis. All these content is obtained through preclinical trial, and this preclinical study help in establishing a preliminary level of study and bioavailability in a product, and thereby it increase the chance of success of clinical trial. So ever before you start a clinical trial, you just want to go through the preclinical studies. How it This is the hierarchy of preclinical and clinical trial for studies of dietary supplement components with nutritional or nutraceutical activity. So talking about it, the first thing is meta-analysis, then it is systematic revision, then it is randomized clinical trial, cohort studies, case control studies, case series studies, single case study, expert opinions, animal models, and in vitro. These are the series or hierarchy in which the clinical trials are applied. So in this, first of all, what is this meta-analysis? So it just quantitative formal study design used to systematically assess the result of previous research to decide conclusion about the body of research. That is, in meta-analysis, we just analyze the research works, or we just formulate a research question in this relevant. We just check the relevant research which is very connected to our subject. And this meta-analysis is a statistical approach to our point of view. And for example, for a meta-analysis, if you are looking in a sample, we are looking for a depression, or we are just looking the reduce, or we are just looking for the depression lows in a sample, measuring change in the depression system in a test group and control group. So there is a test group and a control group in a clinical trial. Test group are those group in which we give the actual drug, and the control group are those which we give a placebo. We will talk about more this placebo and these studies in later slides. So in this, it is a meta-analysis that we are looking for a group which is actually given the dose and the other which is not. And in systematic revision, it is an attempt to gather all available research by using clearly defined systematic method to obtain answer to a specific question. So there will be, when you are conducting a clinical trial, there will be many uh, related questions, and we should answer, or we should find the answer for that question. So systematic revision is that in which they go a systematic way to collect the answer for that for the particular question. And what is this randomized clinical trial? It's a prospective study that measures the effectiveness of a new intervention or treatment. It examines cause-effect relationship between intervention and an outcome. So in this randomized clinical trial, there is a high level of evidence. We get a high level of evidence when you compare to meta-analysis, and it is less biased. Meta-analysis will be more biased, and in random clinical trial it will be more. It it contains less biased data. In cohort study research, it is a research study that compares a particular outcome in a group of individuals who are like in many way but different certain characteristics. So that is in coherent studies, we are comparing a particular thing. We are getting a sample in which these individuals are sharing a common characteristic, and we are finding the or we comparing a particular outcome in between these individuals. And that another one is case control study. In this study that compared two group of people, those with disease condition or the condition under study, and very similar group of people who do not have the disease or condition. So in case control study, we're comparing two group of people. In one group, the people are disease one, or they have the particular case we are considering, and the other people are similar to this disease one, but they do not have the disease or the case we are considering. So we are comparing that groups. So that the compared groups, the group which do not have the particular disease or particular, or which are not come under our case, are called the controlled groups. And that next it is case series studies. It is a research study that track patients who have received a similar treatment of our subject and examine their medical record for exposure and outcome. And in single case studies, it is a basic form of case oriented study. It is used to test the success of an intervention or treat, and also provide evidence about the general effectiveness of an intervention. That is an expert opinion of, obviously when you're conducting a clinical trial, we need expert opinions. In animal model, that is a preclinical stage, and in vitro model, that is the clinical trial. So these are the hierarchy model. So next we are going through the different phases in the clinical trial. So generally there are four phases: phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, and phase 4. And and all these phases are according to the number of observation we do, and the fourth phase is done after the approval of a particular intervention or particular treatment. In phase 1, a new drug or treatment is tested on a small group of people, that is 20 to 80 or 20 to 100 in number. The purpose of it is to evaluate its safety and identify the side effect, and to obtain early signs of effectiveness. And in phase 2, the drug or treatment is given to a larger group of people, that is 100 to 300 or 500, and the purpose is to evaluate its effectiveness and obtain more information about the side effect and risk of the treatment. In phase 3 trial, the drug is treatment the drug or treatment is administered to very large group of people, so that to confirm its effectiveness, compare it with other mode of treatment, and evaluate the overall risk benefit equation. So in fourth phase, these studies are conducted after the drugs approved and launched in the market. Generally after the third phase, whether it is applicable or it is the approval is done by FDA, that is Food and Drug Administration. After the approval of FDA, the fourth phase of trial is done. And also this fourth trial is also called post-marketing surveillance study, and the purpose is to obtain additional information about its risk, benefit, and optimal use. So these are the phases, and there's much more explanation about it. So, as we know, the phase 4 trials take place after the FDA approves a drug or device. The treatment effectiveness and safety are monitored in large, diverse population. Sometimes side effects may not become clear until more people have used the drug or device over a long period of time. So, what is next? It's a crucial thing, that is a placebo study. So, talking about placebo, what is this placebo actually? So placebos generally are the is a fake treatment. It is a fake test. The placebo is an inactive drug or treatment used in a clinical trial. It is sometimes referred to as sugar pills. A placebo-controlled trial compares a new treatment with a placebo. The placebo is usually combined with standard treatment in most cancer clinical trials. Basically, what this is placebo is, it's, as we said, it is a paid test. In this, we already said there is, in a clinical trial, there is a control group and there is a test group. The test group is in which we give the actual drug, and the control is those who are given the placebos. That means it is a non effective treatment. It's not, it imitates the actual one. So it's a sort of unethical, but it's just prove or it reduce the bias data in a particular study. So the placebo, what the placebo do is that in this placebo, the brain convinces the body it is a real one and it stimulates healing. So that what happen in placebo, or it is very effective in this blind studies that we will discuss in the later start. So placebo is a paid injectional thing that appears to be a medical treatment, but it's not. An example of placebo could be a sugar pill that used in control group during a clinical trial. The placebo effect is when improvement of symptom is obtained despite using a non-active, it's a non-active treatment. The symptoms or the risk is lowered because that when we intake a placebo, we know that we have taken something, but we don't know what it is a placebo. So that means our brain is convincing our body that the thing you have intake is what actually it is. So it just create like that. We said that a healthy mind create a healthy body. It's a similar thing. So when we take a placebo, you don't know what it is, but it creates a positive intention in your mind, and with that positive intention, it heals the body. So what is this blind study? It's an experiment group, also known as treatment group, received the treatment whose effect researchers wish to study, whereas the control group does not. So that we already said, the test group are those which are we observe the changes which our actual drug does, and the control group are those in which we give the placebo. They should be identical in all other ways. So the control group and the test group should have a similar or same kind of characteristic. So what is this double blind test? So in double blind test, the participant and the experimenters don't know what actually means, the participant don't know what they are receiving, and so why they are treating, so they don't know the cause of that, and also the experimenters don't know, because we already know there is a control group and the test group. So the experimenters don't know which group have the are receiving the actual one and which group are receiving the placebo one. So these are done to lower the biased data. That means it create a actual one, actual data and actual result. So this procedure utilized to prevent bias in research result. Double-blind studies are particularly used for preventing bias due to demand characteristic or the placebo effect. And a single blind study, only the participants are blind. So in single blind test, only the participant do not know which treatment they, or which thing or which treatment is they are undergoing. So in double blind test, both the participant and the experimenters are not knowing what they are coming across. And triple blind study, the assignment is hidden not only from the participants and experiment, but also from the researchers. And this will create a accurate or very much reliable data. So this is a comparison of food supplements and nutraceutical in the aspect of clinical evidence. So for a food supplement, we don't need a clinical evidence. That means we know, or these food supplements are those which accomplish, or those which complete the daily requirements. So we don't need the clinical evidence. We know that the minerals, vitamins, protein, all these are very necessary for our body. Nutraceutical for Indian, nutraceutical are those food for special needs. So if they are for a special need, they should be recognizable in that field, or they should have that particular thing in that to create a special effect. So we should give evidence for the special effect of a particular nutraceutical. So nutraceutical, the pro and prebiotic foods for special medical use, or these for many active components like omega-3 fatty acid, phytochemicals, and plant extracts are included in nutraceutical. It is the guidelines on nutraceutical testing. So the functioning of clinical trial is controlled by certain protocol, and these protocols are provided by the ethics bodies in India. So when we are talking about the regulations of nutraceuticals and all other food, we should mention the ethics body, that is ICMR in India. For formulation, they just formulate, coordinate, and they just promote their biochemical research and conduct, coordinate, and implement medical research for the benefit of society, and translating medical innovation into product process and introducing them into public health system. So India has recently passed the Food Safety and Standard Act 2006, a modern integrated food law to save a single reference point in relation to regulation of food products, including nutraceutical, dietary supplements, and functional food. So earlier, there were so many acts like Prevention of Food Adulteration Act, Food Product Order, Meat Product Order, such so many acts. Then that all these acts uh, were existent to handle food related issue in various ministry and development, but it just created much confusion in the customers, retailers, and all those. So it become necessary to consolidate all these laws into a particular law which can provide a particular regulation on all these manufacturing, storage, distribution, sales, and import to ensure availability of safe and wholesome food for human consumption. So now, it is the regulatory requirement in India for nutraceutical. First, it is product evaluation. So, examination of each active ingredient and additive. Various steps in the product evaluation include developing extract of documents, sample collection, sample dispatch to concerned authority, food analysis. If analysis is not complete within the stipulated period of time, further action plans by the designated office, adjudication proceeding, that is the holding, inquiry, appeal, procedure, hearing. That is the product should be evaluated. That is, it is fit for the consumption, or the ingredients in should be analyzed. Food analysis should be tested for its safety, its efficiency, so what they do in our body. So so all things should be analyzed. That's the first thing, that is the product evaluation. You should evaluate the product. Then the licensing. So for everything, to get a product registered in India, a number of licenses needed, just like import licensing, manufacturing licensing, marketing licensing. So all these are get if the product is authorized, or if it is approved by a certain authority, then only it can go for the licensing process. And then it is health and label claims. Health claims mean any representation that states, suggests, or implies that a relationship exists between a food or a constituent of the food and health. This include Indian specific labeling and packaging requirement, packaging of consignment, composition of consignment, and approach to market the same, need for sampling material and declaration or registration, label content and claim, structure, function, claim. That is, health claim is it means the relationship between food and constituent of the food and health. And the health claim is further divided into nutrient content claim, reduction of disease claim, structure function claim. That means the labeling should claim certain things, that it reduces the risk of certain disease, such like that. So in nutrient content claim, for example, no fat, high fiber, no added sugar, such things should be there. In reduction of disease claim, it should claim that it should say that it reduces the risk factor of certain disease. And structure function claim, it how it affect human body structure should be explained, or it should be mentioned. So these are the regulatory things needed for the product in India. And next, and so lastly, we are concluding this assignment with a case study. In this, there is a comparison of the effect of topical use of Nigella sativa oil and diclofenac gel on osteoarthritis pain in older people. This is a randomized double-blind clinical test. We already stated what this is double-blind test, in which the participant don't know which treatment they are taking, and also the researchers don't know which treatment or intervention the participants are receiving. That means they both don't know. That means in blind test, we already know there is a control group and test group. So the researchers will identify which one will have is receiving the actual one, which one is not receiving the placebo one. So this makes the result less likely to be biased. So talking about this, first of all, what is this osteoarthritis? It's a type of arthritis that occur when flexible tissues at the end of the bones wear and torn. That is the protective tissue cartilage, and it creates symptoms just like pain, stiffness in joints, loss flexibility, swelling. So here we are comparing the two drugs, that is Nigella sativa oil and diclofenac gel, which is more efficient or which is liable to reduce the uh, pain of pain due to osteoarthritis. So in this case study, they take 52 samples. That is the 52 sample consists of the older people. Generally, this osteoarthritis is a disease which is very common for the old people. So here we take the 52 sample, and later the sample is divided into two, that is 26 26. 26 people are treated with are given the treatment with Nigella sativa oil, and the other 26 is given diclofenac oil, and we are measuring how much relief for the pain of osteoarthritis is given by these two drugs. And this study is conducted for 21 days, and daily twice these drugs are given to the subjects. So and daily the knee injury and osteoarthritis outcome score questionnaire was used to collect data, and in the mid of 10 days it was observed that both the Nigella sativa oil and diclofenac gel is giving or contributing to the relief of the pain due to osteoarthritis. But later at the last 21 days it was observed that Nigella sativa oil create a more effect, or it give uh, more relief to osteoarthritis pain than diclofenac gel. So through this clinical trial, they concluded that Nigella sativa oil is best for the osteoarthritis pain. So the data was statistically observed, and it is observed that the Nigella sativa oil had better pain relief effect than diclofenac gel. So this is the conclusion. This is the all about the case study. And concluding, the nutraceutical is an emerging business, and the growth of the business in the forthcoming years is huge. And India food safety standard at 2006 and food standards rules and regulation 2011 are implemented to avoid the grouping of nutraceutical product either in the food or drugs. So generally the nutraceutical industry is growing at a rate far exceeding, and it is in coming years, the most successful nutraceutical players are likely to be those companies in which functional products are just a part of a broad line of goods satisfying both conventional and health value point. Future demand of nutraceutical depends on consumer perception of the relationship between diet and disease. So our society is more concerned in the health. So these kind of products generally need to be uplifted and come to the mainstream, and that's a conclusion. And these are my some of my references. Thank you.